just like now, only worse, prejudice, you know. We could, that's why I started the house and ordinance, because people could just say to you, now they do it, but they don't say, they say, well, I can't sell that house to you, Mrs. Rich. That's an all-white neighborhood. And they don't want any you people. You've heard that before. You people. They don't want you people to be in that neighborhood. So you cannot buy that house. I could lose my license if you moved. If I sold you that house. Every 10 years you have a reapportionment, and they change around and fix it so that they can put all the blacks in one area. They didn't do that. What they did was scatter them around just a few. They couldn't win anything. And they all were trying to get Wisconsin to reapportion. You know, if you've gone 30 years, that's 10 times 10. That's a long time. So I went door to door for the legal and voters, trying to explain to people to vote, and the reapportionment, both the general and the sentinel were for reapportionment. And I said to my husband, I said, you know what, honey, if they reapportion, you could run. And he said, well, I hadn't thought I don't want to. I do not. I just want to be a good lawyer, so I could buy my baby anything she wants. And so I thought he was letting me down because he didn't want to run. So finally, to keep me from nagging him about it, he said, well, why don't you run? You got the same credentials that I got. So Doyle Getter, who worked for the Journal, Milwaukee Journal, I called him, we were friends. I said, Doyle, what would you think about a woman running for alderman? Don't you think that'd be kind of strange? He came back and he said, no woman ever has even made the primary. So Doyle said, no, you wouldn't like it, Vel. They drink and they smoke and, you know, you won't make it. The more things look bleak, the more interested I got. I had 2 write-ins. One write-in got in and ran against me for between March and April, and he put out literature saying, if you vote for Vel Phillips, she's a Negro, she's hiding the fact that she's a Negro. How can you hide being a Negro? You can't hide being a Negro. So I won. After I won the primary with Leroy Simmons, it was a big story in the papers because there were 2 Negroes who had made the primary. And even more historic, one of the Negroes is a woman. For the first time in the history of Milwaukee, there will be a Negro. I got a lot of threats and letters. Go back to Africa. And I had never been to Africa, so why would I be going back to somewhere I had never been? Oh yeah, threats. One man sent me a letter, I'll never forget, I was reading it. He said, why you called me a nigger and everything. And then he said, if you see some brown streaks running this paper, that's because I used this as toilet paper in the bathroom before I sent it to you, and I just dropped it like that. Well, they shot it through my kitchen window, and the bullet went right to the oven door. But you know, I was young, and I didn't even, as long as my children would not be hurt or my husband, I didn't care. And it wasn't until Grotti came to me and said, you know, Vel, you know, my commandos, I'd like them to be involved. Vel, you need some help with your account. I said, are you kidding? I'll take all the help I can get. Grotti was such a wonderful gentleman. Now, he never really tried to undermine me. The white papers would run to him when we'd be marching. When is the next open housing bill ordinance going to be entered into the council? And he said, don't ask me yet, we're here for Vel. It was exciting, it was new. My mother did not approve. She was a big civil rights person, but she said, it's not ladylike to be running up and down the street shouting and yelling. I said, Mom, I won't be running down the street shouting and yelling. We'll just be marching silently and singing freedom songs. It'd be wonderful.